I'm here today with Dan Dixon of Giant Army Studios, and we're taking a look at Universe Sandbox 2. So can you just tell me a little bit about your game?
Yeah, Universe Sandbox 2 is the sequel to the original Universe Sandbox that came out back in 2011. We just launched on Steam this past Monday, and it is a complete rewrite of the original. It is a physics-based space simulator that is essentially a pure sandbox that lets you ask all kinds of fantastical what-if questions. You can spawn two stars, collide them together, and create a supernova that then heats and destroys all the planets. You can smash the moon into the Earth. You can go a little more granular and actually edit the atmospheric properties of the Earth, change the carbon dioxide level. You can spawn rings. You can collide two galaxies. So it's this kind of very open-ended, fun, interesting, and kind of scientifically realistic simulator.
So for people who've played the first game, what kind of changes can they expect?
It runs faster, so the performance is better. The gravity calculations themselves are more robust and reliable. The collisions are actually now spectacular. Actually, I remember I was at PAX in 2011, and I collided two Jupiters together in the original, and what happens is they just kind of pop together, and I actually got an audible sigh of disappointment from the crowd. I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to show that anymore. That was the original version back in 2011. But we've been colliding Jupiters all day today. So collisions are spectacular. Climate simulation is something that's brand new in this one. We're actually running a climate simulation that was developed in the late 70s. That was complex for the time, but is now able to run on a modern day desktop. We're also considering temperature of the surface. So when you collide asteroids and things, it'll actually cause the planet to heat up. You can also adjust the materials that the planet's made of, so adjust the amount of iron in Earth's core. We also do magnetic fields now. So just a whole bunch of stuff. So a lot so a complete rewrite and all kinds of new stuff.
So can you tell me a little bit about the engine this is running on?
So it's written in Unity, but then it's our own custom physics. We've got a guy in Denmark who's just super brilliant that's been working on the physics engine for the last couple of years, and then graphically it's all our own custom shaders. So we're using Unity, but then we're doing a lot of interesting custom stuff with it.
So are there any big challenges that you guys have had to overcome while making this game?
Well, in making something that hasn't really been made before, there's not necessarily clear answers on how you solve these particular issues. So, whereas if you're making a first-person shooter, it's a lot of the kind of the core gameplay or kind of the core mechanics have already kind of been established and are pretty straightforward. But in this kind of open-ended simulator where you can adjust time and scale, or zoom in and out at crazy scales, there's a lot of problems that occur there. So if you collide something together and now the Earth is really hot and it takes a really long time to cool down, it's it's not necessarily obvious that you need to speed up time in order for that to occur. So there's a lot of kind of if you spawn a star and then run time forward and then it's actually stellar evolution, which takes then a few billion years, but then at the end that supernovas, but that it takes, say, 10 billion years for it to supernova, but then once it supernovas, that happens in a matter of minutes. So, the crazy timescale problems, and that's actually an issue that, kind of almost a user experience issue that we haven't even really solved, but we've talked a lot about. So, and then also just the kind of the ridiculous scope of the project, such that everything everything needs to be editable while the simulation is running. You can spawn any size thing at any time, and that there aren't really discrete modes, such that it's not like you go into climate mode or you just go into climate and you're just looking at one planet. Climate runs on a planet inside of a gravity simulator. So there's everything and even if you're working with two dice, you can still spawn a galaxy in the background. So there's no it's kind of everything works. It's one sandbox. You can do everything there, and and then you can set the time to be whatever you want. So yeah, the scope is kind of throughout the project. They're okay, well if we just if we have an edit mode, so it pauses and then you make changes and then you start it again. It's no, because you got to be able to play with it while it's running, and that's been so just the scope is ridiculous. The specifications are a little ridiculous, but And then the kind of the UX challenges, the user experience challenges are perpetual and fun. So, well, I guess, and also just like we're asking questions about like climate on, say, other random planets, which is a feature we're still kind of in the works. Like, science doesn't actually have a really good answer to that question. Like, we're asking, like, how big of an impact, how big of a crater would this cause? There's, a number of kind of questions that we need to provide answers to because the user is going to be able to do that. Or what would happen if a star turned into 100% water? Like if it's, we went from a hydrogen-helium mix to 100% water, what would happen? So, I mean, we can kind of think about it, but like there hasn't been, nobody's written their PhD thesis on a star magically turning into water. So, yeah, so there's a whole bunch of challenges, so yeah.
All right, so this game's available on Steam right now?
It is, yeah. We launched on Monday in early access, so yeah.
Thanks, Dan. This has been Universe Sandbox 2, T-Tech Media. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and keep watching. Thanks.